Slowly the next morning, like a swimmer struggling to the surface, a thin, high chant piercing my consciousness. La ilaha illa illah, Muhammad Rasulullah. The sing-song words drifted through my bedroom window. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet. It was a comforting sound, this Muslim call to prayer, because it seemed so utterly normal after the previous night. It was a call I had heard almost without exception every morning of my 54 years. I envisioned the source of the rolling chant. Some moments before, in the little nearby Pakistani village of Va, our old muezzin had hurried through the door at the base of an ancient minaret. Inside its cool interior, he had trudged up curving stone steps worn smooth by the sandals of generations of Muslim holy men. At the top of the prayer tower, I could imagine him hesitating at the carved teak door leading to the parapet to catch his breath. Then, stepping outside to the railing, he threw back his bearded head and in syllables 1,400 years old called the faithful to prayer. Come to prayer, come to salvation. Prayer is better than sleep. The haunting cry floating through the morning mist across cobblestone lanes in Va, still cold from the October night, drifted across my garden to curl along the house's brick walls, now ruddy in the light of the rising sun. As the last wisps of the ancient chant hung above me, I remembered the eerie experience in the garden the night before, and quickly turned to morning routines that would be comforting just because they were so ordinary. I sat up and reached for the bell on my bedside table. At its musical tinkle, my maid Nurjan hurried in, out of breath as usual. Both of my maids slept in a room adjoining mine, and I knew that they had already been up for an hour, waiting for my call. Morning tea in my bed was a must. Nurjan began laying out my silver brushes and combs. She was a willing teenaged girl, plump and giggly, but a bit clumsy. When she dropped a brush, I scolded her sharply. Raisham, my other maid, older and quieter, a tall, graceful woman, slid into the room bearing a large covered tea tray. She placed it on my bed table, drew back the white linen to expose the sterling service, and poured me a cup of steaming tea. Sipping the scalding ambrosia, I sighed in satisfaction. Tea was better than prayer. My mother would have been shocked at my thought. How many times had I watched her place her prayer rug on the tiled bedroom floor, then, facing the holy city of Mecca, kneel and press her forehead to the rug in prayer. Thinking of my mother, I looked over to the dressing case on my table. Fashioned centuries ago of sandalwood and covered with engraved sterling silver, it had belonged to Mother and her mother before her. Now it was my heirloom to treasure. After finishing 2 cups of tea, I leaned forward, a sign for Raisham to begin brushing my graying waist-length hair, while Nurjan carefully worked on my nails. As the two worked, they gossiped in easy familiarity about news from the village, Nurjan chattering and Raisham making quiet, thoughtful comments. They talked about a boy who was leaving home for the city and a girl soon to be married. And then they discussed the murder that happened in a town where Raisham's aunt lived. I could sense Raisham shudder as the news came up, for the victim had been a Christian. She was a young girl who had been staying in a Christian missionary's home. Someone had stumbled across her body in one of the narrow lanes crisscrossing her village. There was supposed to have been an investigation by the constabulary. "Any news about the girl?" I casually asked. "No, Begum Sahib," said Raisham quietly as she carefully began to work a braid in my hair. I could understand why Raisham, a Christian herself, didn't want to talk about the murder. She knew as well as I did who had killed that girl. After all, the girl